Hi, this is Daniel from Bytesafe. As part of our package management series here on YouTube, this video will cover how to use Gradle and Bytesafe in a few simple steps. I'll show you a basic configuration of how to install packages from Bytesafe and also how to upload artifacts. Your production configuration will of course be a bit different, and for details on how to configure Gradle, please look in the official Gradle documentation. Now let's dig into it and see what needs to be configured. First, you need to create a private Maven firewall in Bytesafe by clicking on Create Firewall, and this is where you will install your packages from. Then select MVN as the package manager. Our name for this firewall will be Maven FW. Click on this checkbox to add an upstream. We'll use the most common package source, namely Maven Central, which is here in the list. Click on Add Upstream. So what this does is that if you're trying to install packages or restore packages from Bytesafe and they don't already exist, Bytesafe will try to fetch them from the upstream. The upstream has been added here to the firewall, and as expected, if we click here on packages, there are no packages just yet. Now, you need to create an access token. Click on More Info and click on Create Token, or go to the User Profile menu and click on Access Tokens. What's important here is to make sure that you've selected a read-write token, as we'll be installing packages from an upstream and they will be stored in Bytesafe, so that's a write operation. Generate the token, copy it and save it for later, and we'll use that when we're authenticating with Bytesafe. For my demo, I've created a Java library sample project. I'll switch to the Gradle documentation, and here, if you search for building Java libraries sample, you'll find this page. And by using Gradle init, you can set up a simple project, a clean library, and a complete folder structure. I've selected library and then Java and then just the default values. And we get a structure, folder structure looking like this. And this file here, build.gradle, is the one that we will be adding configuration to. The link to this Gradle documentation page is in the description. Next step is just to take a quick look in the Bytesafe documentation, docs Bytesafe dev, and then search for Gradle. Click on Gradle configuration, which is under Maven artifacts. And here you see the sections, what you need to add to your build file. So there's one section for installing a package and then another one for publishing a package. Now let's open the build.gradle file and then add the required Bytesafe configuration. This is what the default build.gradle file looks like, and as you can see, by default, packages are restored from Maven Central. We will replace this repository section by using this from the Bytesafe documentation. I've already prepared this and added the token that I just generated. So I'm pointing out to use the example Bytesafe dev workspace and the firewall we just created, Maven FW. So that's what we need to add. And next step is to actually build this project. Just make sure to save this configuration. And next step is to build the project. I've added refresh dependencies to avoid using a local cache and just to make sure that the dependencies which are listed here in the build file are actually fetched from Bytesafe. So by executing that, the dependencies are now resolved. And if I switch back to Bytesafe and look at my Maven firewall, I see that there are now a few packages added. And before they're added, they're scanned for vulnerabilities and licenses. So when it comes to licenses, all files are actually scanned. And if there are any plugins and policies enabled, they will be enforced as well. But we won't cover that in this video. So we now saw that packages have been restored from Bytesafe. They have been scanned. So next step is to publish a package. You need a bit more configuration. If we look in the Bytesafe documentation, we see that we need to add the Maven publish plugin and then add a publications section as well. I prepared this. So first is just to add the Maven publish plugin, and then we'll also add the publishing section here. So I've just created a group ID, which will be my dummy name for this component, and then repositories I'm pointing out and using the same firewall. I'm not separating anything, I'm just using the same one, and the token used here is the one I just created. Again, make sure to save this. Now if I publish this, so Gradle W, which is in this folder, and then publish, we see that this package should now, yeah, we saw this increased here, and here's my app sample. If I choose to just bump this version to 1.2 and then publish again, we see that it's publishing to Bytesafe, and refresh this, I see that there's more than one version. So this is just a quick demo of how to restore packages from Bytesafe and how to publish your own packages to Bytesafe as well. I hope you learned how to use Gradle and Bytesafe. Now get started.